Guys, this is Fleming from Customs by Monster. Just another quick little update. I showed some of you yesterday that I've just finished trimming and cleaning all the pieces. So now I'm just going through all my paint to see if I have anything I still can still use, or if I need to go out and buy some more. This is one of the problems with taking so long as I'm taking, because we have this crazy heat wave in Denmark right now. So when this stuff just is allowed to sit for months, some of this just dries completely out. Also, my last batch of resin is completely destroyed, but right now I have the parts I need. I just hope I'm not gonna break any parts while I'm assembling this. But just quick, I always use Citadel Games Workshop Warhammer paint, just because that's what I prefer. Always, of course, use acrylics, water-based, never oil-based, because that can really get tacky. It sticks to the plastic and all sorts of bad things. This really has done the trick for me. It gives like it ends up being like a sort of rubbery coating that's pretty hard to scratch off, and especially if you use a lot of sealant. This will hold up to posing, not so much rough play, but that's also one of the reasons why I'm casting everything in the correct colors. So if you get that the custom figure paint rub on the joints, if you have been posing them too much, this is a way to combat that a little bit, because the plastic underneath will be kind of the same color that I'm painting it in. So yeah, that was one of the main ideas behind this project, and I actually think I'm gonna do from now on, when I do customs, it's gonna be like this, because paint rub is just the worst. I post my figures really like multiple times a week, so I really need stuff that can hold up to that, and many of my older work was like really fragile. So this is I feel like Splinter is at a really good place. Also, one of the places that's almost always the worst is the shoulder part, because you have a lot of rubbing areas here. But remember, I'm not even painting these, I'm only adding the black lines, so you'll never experience any scratches or anything with these, so that's really cool. Also, one of the things that kind of tricks the eyes and give it this factory look that I really like. I think I'm not really sure on what my next project will be, but I really want to go for that factory feel again. I think that's one of the things that succeeded most with the Splinter figure. But back to the paint. When I started this last December, I bought a ton of brown colors, different shades, and I think I end up using 3 on top of each other, finding a color that I liked. So I'm not sure. I'm gonna make some paint tests right now, testing out if I can just settle for the last brown that I added, or if I need to add the others beneath it for like an undercoat. But everything is primed black, because you want all the creases in the fur to have the little black paints sitting. So what I do is I give these limbs a really rough, very wet paint job. Actually, I'm not even using Citadel for this. I'm using this Molotov. This is it's actually something that you usually would have in a liquid pen to draw with. It sticks to most surfaces. It can be rinsed off with water if you don't seal it. But this is just like a larger batch of that, and the good thing about this is it's very good for airbrushing, because it's very liquid. Has a, what you call it, high vis. I can't even say that word. But it's very liquid, and also it's very good for adding the black lines, because Citadel black paint, it kind of gets really chunky, because it has so many pigments in it, while this is like painting with water actually. So highly recommended. But this is called Molotov. But what I do is I start with this, prime everything, all the fur parts will just be painted completely black. And then I just go in with each of the browns and just kind of, I wouldn't say dry brushing it, but the technique is kind of the same because I'm interested in getting a lot more paint on my limbs than with dry brushing. So I'm not just adding the highlights, but I'm kind of just completely solid painting all the parts that you would normally just add the highlights to. So technique is kind of similar, but I use a bit more paint on the brush when I do this. But I've done 4, I can't even remember now. I think I've done 4. So this is like a walk in the park now. So the only problem is I have I have so many limbs right now to paint. So it's gonna take a little bit of time, but it's not gonna be a problem. But after I've blacked out all the limbs, I use this base color called Mornfang Brown. It's available online, and then I go over with, see, this one, Scrag Brown, which is actually almost orangey. I think, I can't remember because it's been so long, but I will work that out in my paint test right now. I think I may have mixed these two for the second layer because this looks very, very orange. So it would be very weird to me if I had used this. But when that is said and done, I give everything a good coat of this. It's called XV88. It's also a base color. Actually, Scrag Brown is a layer color, but I'm really interested in using the base colors because they're thicker and have more pigments, and I wouldn't normally build up a paint job on black, because when figures on the shelf compared to other figures, factory figures, black primed figures, they tend to just look darker on the shelf. So I would mostly always go with a gray, or if it has to be a light color, maybe even almost completely white priming. So that's why I use these very, very thick, vibrant browns for this one, because he simply gets too dark and you kind of lose him in the shelf. So that's where I'm at right now. So hopefully these paints are still good. I'll know in a while. If they're not, I can buy more tomorrow actually, or maybe Monday, and get started there. And I think I'm pretty positive that I will have these paint jobs done within the next week. I'm thinking about I think a torso with all the black lines takes about, I think I timed that last time, and I think this takes about 2 to 3 hours to do. And I have a couple of them to go through, so there's actually 1 or 2 days already here. And the limbs, it's best to like give them wait a day between each layers, so you don't mess up any of the paints. Even though it dries pretty quickly, I just like to let things sit for a while, because I think it just gets better. Also, I'm very impatient, so I always tend to mess up these paint jobs. I did a total repaint of Jabba the Hutt, a Hasbro set from the 3 3/4 Star Wars. I can't remember, I think maybe 3 years ago. Like really detailed. At that time it was the craziest project I'd ever done. And I just kept messing up everything, so everything was